I mean, after trying to read as much as possible, my brain is not braining, you know? Hi, I'm Manga Captor and welcome to another video. This is going to be a really fun one. I'm going to be reading as much as possible in 24 hours. Everyone does this challenge a little differently, but the way I'm going to do it is basically from today 8 a.m. to tomorrow 8 a.m. My top priority is going to be reading. I've seen so many people do this challenge and I'm just really curious how much I could read in the window of 24 hours. So it is currently 7:48 a.m. I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a little drink. I'm thinking maybe a matcha and just get started with some reading. So I'll see you in the next clip. Okay, it is currently 10:30 and I just finished my first book of the day, and that was Sweet Bean Paste. This was a very emotional read and it has some pretty strong trigger warnings that I'll place on screen so that you can be aware of those. I really enjoyed this book. It's such a powerful read and the themes that it tackles are pretty heavy, but it does it in such a beautiful and poetic way. It's gonna stick with me for a long time. Because it was more of an emotional read, however, I want to read something a little more lighthearted. So I think I'm gonna shift over to reading some manga. I've decided on What Did You Eat Yesterday, Volume 15. This cover is so pretty and just look at those smiles. I just love these characters. I feel like this will be a great pick-me-up after reading an emotional read. So I'm going to go ahead and get cozy, read this, and I'll see you in the next clip. Oh man, the food in this manga is gonna make me hungry. Maybe it was a bad idea to read this because now I really want a snack. I need to have a snack break. Thankfully, today's video is sponsored by tokyotreat. tokyotreat is a snack subscription box that is filled with curated snacks from Japan for you to enjoy in the comfort of your own home. Each box comes with a booklet that shares more about the included snacks as well as Japanese culture, which is really fun to read about. Every box includes exclusive and limited edition snacks that are only available in Japan. This month's theme is Valentine's Day, and just look at all these delicious snacks. There's lots of variety in each box, so there's something for everyone to enjoy. Let's just say that this was one of the best snack breaks I've had in a good while. If you would like your own tokyotreat box, use the link in the description box along with my coupon code MANGACAPTOR to get $5 off your first box. I myself cannot wait any longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and try these donuts. They smell so good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Thank you again to tokyotreat for sponsoring this video. All right, now let's get back to reading. Alright, I finished my second read of the day, and this one was so good. The end of this volume teased a little bit of what's gonna happen in the next one, and I'm just really intrigued and really want to read it. So I just finished reading What Did You Eat Yesterday, volume 16, and this was another great volume in the series. I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed everything I've read so far. It just made me smile, and I love seeing the dynamic between Kenji and Shiro. It's just so cute, and I love them. I'm going to take a break from manga and switch over to a novel. I'm going to read Blackouts by Justin Torres. I've been wanting to read this book for quite a while, and I was able to get it on Libby. I waited for a very long time, so I am very much excited to read this. It's a little bit hard for me to explain, but I'll definitely be able to explain the story much better after I read it a bit, so I'll let you guys know what I think later. So I'll see you in the next clip. Can I have this? Alright, it's time for a reading update. It is currently 6:01. I read 109 pages of Blackouts, and I like it so far. So Blackouts is a work of fiction, but it does have some queer history embedded into it in its fictional storyline. So the story follows an old man on his deathbed, Juan Gay, who is basically just living for conversations with one of his friends, the narrator of the story, and they basically have this exchange going back and forth. Juan asks to hear more stories from the narrator to kind of like relive memories and also just learn more about him. And in exchange, basically, the narrator asks more information about this collection of works by Jan Gay, who was a real person. I'm just gonna read like a little thing here I found on the internet. So Jan Gay aspired to change public attitudes towards queerness in the 20th century, and as detailed in the book Blackouts, eventually had her research co-opted and turned against her. So basically the author, Justin Torres, used this piece of queer history to inspire this book, and it's interesting how it's embedded in this fictional story. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It is a pretty heavy read. I don't know what it is about me and choosing reads that are sad, heavy, deal with death and different things like that. I've been reading a ton of that stuff. I probably shouldn't be, but those kind of stories always attract me. I think it's just because I really appreciate something that is serious and trying to point out the meaning of life or the meaning of human connection and how important these questions are and how important it is to find answers that work for us, that help us feel inspired, help us feel connected to people, to the world, etc. So yeah, if you like stories with lots of dialogue, if you're looking for a queer read, this one might do it for you. However, there are tons of trigger warnings, so I will put them on screen so you can be aware of those in case you want to read this title. I don't know if I said already, but I read 109 pages of that, and I kind of needed to have a palate cleanser because the book I read this morning, Sweet Bean Paste, was kind of sad, and then this one's sad. So I was like, okay, I need something to pick me up, and usually what does that is One Piece, because Luffy is just such a fantastic character that you know, doesn't always have the best foresight, but we love him for that. We love his courage and the amount of value he places in friendship. So I read volumes 20 and 21 out of this omnibus, and I really enjoyed those. I can't really say like what happens because that would just kind of spoil the story, but this was a great pick-me-up, and I'm kind of at the point where I'm pretty tired. I mean, it's a little bit after 6 p.m. now. I'm trying to debate what to read next because I do want to read more of Blackouts. It's genuinely interesting, and I just like really love stories that are character heavy. So I'm curious about this, but then I'm also like, do I want to be sad? Like, I'm already kind of sad. Like, do I want to be more sad is the question, and probably not. So I think instead I'm gonna read something in the comedy genre. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'll see you in the next clip. Alright, the reading challenge is over. I honestly thought that I was gonna read more, but at the same time, I read quite a lot. So here are all the books that I read physically. It doesn't look like a lot because I mostly read on my Kindle, but I read volume 15 and volume 16 of What Did You Eat Yesterday? A lovely series that honestly just picks me right back up. It's very dependable, it's trustworthy, it's just all around good. I've talked about this multiple times on my channel, but just in case you're new here, this is a series that's a slice of life manga that follows a middle-aged couple that live together. They live together, cook together, talk together. It's just basically following their lives, following their work life, their relationship, their friendships. It's very slow paced, but at the same time, it moves kind of quickly in terms of how many years are passing by. So currently, these men are in their 50s and they're still together, and currently there's up to volume 21, where I'm assuming they eventually get to their 60s, and I'm just really curious as to how long this series will continue, and it's great. I love it. And then I also read One Piece volumes 20 and 21 out of this omnibus. I had read volume 19 like at the beginning of this month. It's like hard to talk about this series because I don't want to say what's happening in these volumes because I feel like it just gets very spoilery very quickly. It's just all around a great series if you like something really fast and action-packed. You obviously know about this. Like you must have heard about One Piece. I feel like it's impossible to not know about One Piece if you read manga. So yeah, you've already heard about this. I don't need to talk about it anymore. And then after that, most of what I read was digital. I mostly read stuff from my Kindle. I love my Kindle so much. I've been using it a ton. And I don't know, I feel kind of like weird saying this, but I kind of prefer reading digitally. I feel like it's so much more convenient. If you want a title, you can just buy it and instantly get it. You don't have to go to like a bookstore, and I don't live near bookstores. But anyways, I'm rambling. Let's move on to what I read. So I finished reading Sweet Bean Paste. I had already read up to chapter 17, like just in the month of February recently. So I just finished the rest of this. And if we really want to be precise about it, I took notes. I read 86 pages from Sweet Bean Paste. I briefly talked about this book already after I had finished it, and I don't have much more to say. It's just a powerful emotional read. It does have some content that can be very triggering. I'll place the trigger warnings again on screen so that you could be aware of them and decide if it's something you want to read, because it was a little bit heavy for me. I still enjoyed it, but maybe like this week wasn't the best week for me to read it. But great characters. I don't know what I'm talking about. Overall, I enjoyed this. I would give this like 4.5 stars out of 5. And I also read 109 pages of Blackouts by Justin Torres. I've already talked about this briefly, but it's like a literary fiction book that mixes a bit of queer history in with it. It's a very interesting book. It's really hard to describe. I'll probably have an easier time describing it once I finish it. It's got like very dreamlike qualities to it. It kind of like quickly bounces back and forth between times, and initially when I first read it, I was kind of confused as to what was going on, but then as I kept reading, I was provided with more context, and then that helped me understand where the story was. So yeah, it's very like fever dream, strange, surreal, poetic. It's kind of like just an experiment, really. It's an experimental novel. That's the best way to put it. That's my cat. She just misses me, but I mean, if I let her in here, she will destroy these books. So anyways, I keep rambling. I mean, after trying to read as much as possible, my brain is not braining, After I read Blackouts, I was like, okay, I need something silly, goofy, funny, lighthearted. So what better option than Life Lessons with Uramichi Onisan? I love this series. I know it doesn't do it for everyone. Comedy is very hit or miss. This is a comedy that I do genuinely like, which is rare for me. I usually do not enjoy comedies that much. If you haven't heard of this series before, it basically just follows Uramichi Onisan and his friends, or maybe we should say co-workers, and his co-workers that work in this like TV studio and record a TV program for children. And basically they are all adults that have difficult lives for different reasons. We mostly see Uramichi Onisan's life. The guy on the cover there, it can get a little depressing, to be honest. But basically he's just this washed up guy. That sounds so rude. Basically he's just this guy that like kind of... I'm very tired. I'm sorry. I am really butchering this. Basically, he was this athlete, couldn't continue down that path, started working in this TV studio, not super happy with the job, and we just basically follow him as he goes through his day-to-day life at work, spending time with his coworkers, etc. And there's just lots of funny deadpan moments, and he kind of like tries to give kids advice, but it's a little bit off color because he's a jaded adult and can't really feel the same amount of joy that a child does. This is really, wow. It sounds really depressing when I'm explaining it. But it is funny. It's funny, trust me. Anyways, so I read volume 3, and these volumes contain 2 volumes, so they're like omnibuses. So I counted as 2, and then I was like, let's keep the party going. That's my cat. Everything is fine. Let's move on to volume 4. I read the first volume in this omnibus. So that is all that I read. But let me give you the stats. I read a mixture of books and manga, mostly manga. When it comes to books, I read 195 pages. That includes Sweet Bean Paste and Blackouts. When it comes to manga, I read 1,146 pages. That includes 2 volumes of What Did You Eat Yesterday, 2 volumes out of the One Piece Omnibus, 3 volumes out of the Life Lessons with Uramichi Onisan Omnibus volumes. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm pretty happy with those numbers. That's it. I tried to read as much as possible in the window of 24 hours, and that's how much I read. And thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.